Alrighty, well, some of you guys don't know this, but last night this weekend, we had a group of young men up here, high school kids that had a Bible study up here, and it was powerful. They asked me to speak last night, so I had a message all ready for them, and I was ready to go, and at the end of worship, I got ready to preach it, and God was like, nope, you can throw those notes to the side. I got something else for you. That's always fun, by the way. And so anyway, you get that message today. Congratulations, you got some, but it's really good, y'all. This is the best sermon you're going to hear in a while, right here. I'm going to tell you. Now, today I was studying about Daniel because the weekend they were talking about being uncomfortable, and so I started thinking about Daniel. And Daniel is a pretty neat character, and so if you have time, go back and read the whole book of Daniel. It's very powerful. But I want to highlight a few things in Daniel's life that he did that kind of set him apart. And listen, we're set apart. We know that we're set apart, but we need to do some things in our own life that set us apart. Sometimes we get so hung up in trying to be like everybody else and do what they're doing, we forget that we're called to be sanctified, to be set apart. But there's also a mix in there where we're supposed to be reaching other people. So Paul was very clear when Paul said, look, I was a Gentile, but I became a Jew to reach the Jews. I became one who's under the law to reach those who are under the law. He uses freedom to reach other people. And at the end, he says, I just want to reach more people. I said, I do what I got to do to reach anybody that I can. And if we will take some of these attributes of Daniel, I think it'll help us reach more people and be more powerful in the kingdom of God, because God's kingdom is counting on you to be a servant. And so Daniel was one of the most incredible servants that I've found in the Old Testament. I mean, his attitude, the way he handled things. Daniel he was exiled from his homeland. He was 18 years old when all these things started happening to him. And so we're going to pick up the beginning of Daniel's life, and then we're going to kind of move through some of the things that happened to him. The Bible tells us about Daniel that the king ordered Ashpenaz, chief of the court officials, to bring into the king's services some of the Israelites from the royal family of the nobility, young men without any physical defect, handsome, showing aptitude for every kind of learning, and well-informed. I'm going to stop right there and say they have no physical defect, handsome. Look, these guys were just chiseled, all right? Like, you know. I could have been one of them. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If this was back in the day, I could have been one of these dudes. Listen, I'm telling y'all, if it wasn't for Corona, I'd be down 40 pounds right now. Listen, we were going to the gym at least once a week, and but, man, the Corona snacks, man, you sitting at home all the time? And we got snacks up here for the Dream Team. Sometimes they don't make it this Sunday morning. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got honey buns, and you get hungry quarantining. Quarantine ain't good for your physique, man. Listen, I'm telling you, I would be down for it. I'm blaming it on them. We had to cancel our membership to the gym because we couldn't work out anymore. And so, no, I'm still eating Popeyes. Dude, I will cause a wreck on 378 to get me a spicy chicken sandwich, with extra sauce. Get the extra sauce, send me a picture, tag me in it. My wife will tell me about it. I'm not on social media, but she'll tell me about it, all right? But listen, these guys had it together. Physically, they had it together. They were very smart. So they were handsome. They showed an aptitude for every kind of learning, well-informed, quick to understand. And here's what I want you to see. They were qualified to serve in the king's palace. Now, this is a lowercase case, so we're talking about a local king, but I'm talking about the King of Kings. I want to tell you how you can serve, the qualities that you need to serve the King of Kings. And Daniel had these qualities. Now, the word for qualified is pretty interesting, and I started digging on it. And one time it's translated as chameleon. I thought that was weird. It's translated chameleon. So I went and looked in Leviticus chapter 11, verse 30, and it lists chameleons did y'all know that chameleon's in the Bible? The word chameleon, actual animal chameleon, is in the Bible. Chameleons are pretty interesting because they kind of blend into their territory. That's what I was saying about Paul earlier. Listen, Paul said, look, I'll be what I got to be to who I got to be to reach more people for Jesus. It means if you're a Democrat, you'll become a Republican to reach some Republicans. If you're a Republican, you'll become a Democrat to reach some Democrats. If you're a mask wearer, you'll become a non-mask wearer to reach the non-mask wearer. I mean, listen, he was saying, I'll do whatever I have to do to serve others, to serve Jesus, and make sure they know about his love. Chameleon, that's a strange word, chameleon. Chameleons are pretty interesting. Chameleons just blend in, right? I mean, I know we're supposed to stand out, be in the world, but not of it, right? I know we're supposed to stand out. And I'm not telling you, not to go on the street corner and start throwing the Bible at people. I went to California. Wow, that's way different. I went to California probably back in 2011 for my dad's ministry, and we were going over there, and I didn't even know. I never met the guy, but he was going to let me stay in his house for 2 nights for free. So I get there, and this guy comes rolling out in a wheelchair, and, I was kind of shocked, not a big deal, but I was like, I didn't realize he was handicapped. And so anyway, I don't think he's never walked in his life. And so I didn't even get to put my stuff in the room. He was like, hey, come with me. So he puts his wheelchair. I thought he was going to put it in his van. He gets to his van, gets his Bible and stuff out, and we rolling. He's literally rolling down the sidewalk in California. In California, hilly. If y'all didn't know that. It's hills in the valleys. That's what that song's about on the radio. So we get out there, and he's just, I almost wanted to push him, but then I didn't know if I should push him. And so he's getting up the hill, and then we go down the hill, and so we get to this place, and this dude starts preaching. And what it was a car wash. And so people were just sitting outside. It's so beautiful over there. They just sit outside. You sit outside at 2:00 p.m. around here, you will die. I mean, I told a buddy of mine, Tony, to come here, and I told him the day, I was like, it's so hot. He builds pools for a living. I sit at a desk for a living. He just looked at me. I was like, dude, our AC got to 71 today. It's hot outside. So anyway, we're out there, and these guys are just sitting there. They're just chilling. They're just watching. They're waiting for their car to be finished. And so they're captive audience. Their car is like, in the car wash. They're not going anywhere. So he starts preaching, y'all. I'm talking about preaching. I'm talking about, I felt I got saved. You know what I'm saying? It was strong. But then they would not look at him, man. He was getting after, man. He was in the corner, and and I was like watching him. I didn't know what was about to happen, and he got done, and he rolled out. I guess he planted some seeds. But what I'm saying is, I'm not saying you got to do all that. I'm saying like become the people around you. I'm not saying go to a bar and get drunk because they're getting drunk. What I'm saying is make it about a relationship. If you're going to serve people, you got to have some relationships first. We have a saying around here in our staff meetings. I say that all the time. Megan's like, you never say that. But I do say this. We choose people over policy. So you get so hung up on policy, you'll forget about the people. We got rules. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. A buddy of mine who just started coming here not long ago, he was like, dude, they're bringing drinks in the church. And? We choose people over policy. Bring your drinks in. We don't care. Wear shorts, wear a hat. We want you to find Jesus. That's what we're about. And when you serve, the word for qualified means chameleon. It means do what you got to do to reach other people. Man, chameleon changes spots all the time. And listen, I'm not saying at all that you change your beliefs and you become like an atheist or atheist. I'm just telling you, Paul said, I'll do what I got to do to reach people for Jesus. That's what Paul said. And there's a big church in North Carolina, and their saying is, we'll do anything short of sin to keep people out of hell. And I think that's what we're talking about here. We'll do whatever we got to do to keep people out of hell. Chameleons are slick, man. Chameleons, you don't even know they're there. Just all of a sudden, and bam, Jesus hits you. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens. You become a chameleon with your baseball team, and all of a sudden they start seeing Jesus in you, and now they want what you got. My son was keeping my niece's chameleon. She had a pet chameleon. I think they gave it away, but this thing it was mean. It was angry all the time. I didn't know a chameleon could get angry. This dude, she was, I won't go down that road. It was a female, but that's beside the point. And so Kai was supposed to be feeding this thing. And so one day we was like, hey, he said, I'm going to feed the chameleon. I'll be out in the car. We're going somewhere. So we'll go in the car and we're waiting. And Kai never comes. So after about 5 minutes, I get out and go inside. We can't find the chameleon. It's a cage this big, and we can't find the chameleon. And it took us 15 minutes to find that chameleon, and he was in that cage. We thought he got away. Because they're expensive. Females are real expensive, and not in more than one way. But anyway, listen, he's saying, listen, if you're going to qualify to serve, you have to be around people. You have to show them love of Jesus, but you got to do it in a way that you don't run them off, because you can run them off, especially this day and age. You knock on somebody's door, people freak out. In my dad's day and age, when he pastored, you knocked on every door. I think he knocked on every door of every town we ever lived in. You do that today, you might get shot. But what do? Well, you just talk about football with them at work. Do what you got to do to serve other people. And that's exactly what Daniel did. He was qualified. He stood out. He so distinguished himself, the Bible says, but somehow he fit in where he didn't feel like he was an outsider. Listen, he was pretty slick. So Daniel had 3 things I want you to see that we need if we're going to reach people for Jesus. We need these 3 things. They're very, very important. Here's number 1. We got to have hunger. You got to want it. I can't want it for you. Your life group leader can't want it for you. Your kids leaders can't want it for them. Their small group leaders can't want it for them. Your boss can't. You have to want it. Parents, you can't want it for your kids. You got to want it. You got to want to know more about Jesus. You got to want to know more about spiritual warfare prayer. And by the way, prayer is spiritual warfare. And when we pray, Satan is being defeated. Learn more about what that means. The Bible says that we don't battle against flesh and blood. Some of y'all are wore out right now because you've been battling flesh and blood. Your boss, the person that ticked you off, the person that posted something you thought it was about you, but it really wasn't. Somebody looked at you funny. Somebody didn't wave at you when they saw you in the mall. Somebody ghosted your text. You know what that is. They got your text and didn't respond to it. That's getting ghosted. We need to start holy ghosting some people. That's what we need to do. You ever been holy ghosted? That's for real, son. We got to have a hunger to know more about being filled with the Spirit of God. Know more about how to pray. Know more about the power of your words. Maybe you need to know more about you got a bad attitude. And you need to ask some people around you, say, do I have a bad attitude? But make sure if you're asking somebody that question, they don't have anything in their hands, okay? Whenever you respond and say, yeah, you kind of been a little bit sideways lately. But find out. You need to be hungry to be better. You need to be hungry to know more of God's word. You need to be hungry to spend some more time in prayer. You need to be hungry to serve other people. Listen, he was hungry. Daniel was hungry. Let's go back and read verse 4 again. He showed an aptitude for every kind of learning, and he was quick to understand. Listen, he was hungry. You know, one thing my dad always told me growing up was when you have a job, you learn everything that you can about everything that you can so that when it's time to start cutting people, they can't let you go because you know every stuff. And so that's what I did. Every job I had, man, I learned every piece of equipment, everything I could do, every piece of billing, the way it went through the system, how to enter it. I mean, there's one point I was taking the phone call, filling the order in the warehouse, billing the order, and then collecting the billing. I learned how to do it all. And guess what? When it was time to start cutting people, they kept me. I didn't do it great, but I knew about it. I wanted to be hungry. I wanted to know as much as I could. You need to be hungry for the Word of God. Listen, he had an aptitude for learning, and he was quick to understand. The Bible tells us if we're hungry, God's going to fill us. Look at Matthew 5:6. It says, blessed are those who are hungry and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. It doesn't say blessed are those who are indifferent. It doesn't say blessed are those who think about it occasionally. Blessed are those who are hungry. And when I'm hungry, it's time to eat. I think this is a good place to put hangry, you know. Sometimes you got to get hangry. Like you got to really, really want it. If you don't have it right now, you don't know what your head's going to explode or somebody's head's going to roll. You know what I'm saying? I have a daughter, and she's about to get married, but I won't use her name because I don't know who's. But is Luke in there? They must be gone. All right, let me tell you. If she twitches a little bit, you better get her some food. So she went from hungry to hangry, and it ain't pretty. And it's like that. You know those people. You got those people in your life. Maybe that's you. But we got to be the place where we just can't settle. We can't go to bed unless we have a little more of God. We can't even go to work until we have more of Him. We need some revelation today, God. Give me this today. We got to have some hunger. Daniel had hunger. He wanted more. He wanted to know more. He wanted to serve people like nobody else was. He had a hunger for it. Here's the second thing that he had. He had humility. He had humility. Daniel was a very humble person. So what happens was Daniel gets moved. He's in leadership. He's one of the wise men. King Nebi has this dream, and in this dream, he doesn't know what it means, and so he starts asking people, it's like, somebody's got to help me interpret this, I don't know what's going on, and one of his key guys says, listen, nobody in the land can interpret this dream, nobody can do that, so Nebuchadnezzar goes, you know what, I'll just kill them all. Maybe he was angry, you know what I'm saying, maybe he needed a Snickers or something, I don't know, but he's like, I'll kill them all. And so Daniel goes up to him, and he says, look, just give me some time. And so they spend some time praying. He asks his boys for help. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and say, hey, look, let's pray that God will give us some interpretation because if we don't, we are going to die. And so here's what happens. Here's the response. He gets the revelation that night. Then he says this, I thank and praise you, God of my ancestors. You have given, not me, you. You have given me wisdom and power. You have made known to me what I ask of you. You have made known to us the dream of the king. See, humility always points back to God. Humility is about everybody else and not you. Now, does it mean you never focus on yourself? No, that's not what it means. But humility is putting everybody else first. And he was like, listen, it ain't about me. This ain't about me. And look at what happened. So he went to the guy that actually, this is Arioch. He actually was one that says, hey, I'm going to have to kill y'all. If something don't happen, I'm going to have to kill y'all. So he goes to them, and it's the guy that was supposed to execute them. And he said to them, do not execute the wise men of Babylon. Take me to the king, and I'll interpret the dream for him. And then that's what he tells him. As for me, this mystery has been revealed to me, not because I have greater wisdom. See, Daniel was all, now if it had been me, I'd have been like, look, sucker, I got the interpretation, bring me now, and I want a nice chariot. See, I'd have had some demands, you know what I'm saying? Like he was in high demand. He had the answer. He could have went a whole other route, but he said, look, it's not because I have greater wisdom than anyone else alive, but so that your majesty can know about the interpretation. What he was saying was, it ain't about me, it's about you. See, Daniel wasn't so caught up in God gave it to him. He was caught up in the fact that God gave it to him to give to somebody else. See, that's what humility is. Humility is God gives me something, I want to give it to you. That's what humility does. Humility says, God, you bless me, I want to bless somebody else. God, you gave me this ability to help some people. I know when I first got married, I started working for a computer company. And some of you know the story. It was kind of falling apart. I didn't know it. They were writing me hot checks. They cut off my electricity at the house. Megan was an infant. It was a mess. It was cold. We had a trailer. It was a mess. But what I learned was when you know about computers, people find out really quick. I hadn't done it in years, by the way. Please don't call me if you have computer problems, all right? But dude, I had people's great aunts, sisters, cousins, half removed, ex-wives calling me going, hey, my aunt and my mom's sister be calling me from Monday. Hey, my computer did this. Well, did you click OK? Or, you know, is the OFF switch in the ON position? All right, spell it out. Did you turn it on? That's what I'm saying. I had one lady brought her computer in, and she was like, yeah, my cup holder broke. CD-ROMs just came out. I thought she was joking. She brought her computer in, and her CD-ROM was broke, and it had coffee stains on it. But I found out real quick. That's a true story. I found out real quick that when people want something from you, they're going to find out what you got, they're going to get it from you. You know what humility does? Hey, I got this ability, I'll give it to you. Man, I love praying for people. Let me pray for you. Man, I love helping people in this area. Let me help you. I love to help people get through this problem in their marriage. Let me see what I can do to help you. That's what humility does. Humility says, I got something and you can have it. That's what humility does. And Daniel goes, look, it ain't about me. It's about you. It's about you getting this interpretation. So Daniel, it wasn't even, and what's cool was it wasn't even at the end about him surviving. That's what it started out to be. But he didn't go, you know what? If I tell you this, will you not kill us? No, he said, look, I got some words for you, and this is so you can know what you dreamed about. That's what humility does. We need some more humility in our leadership. I know people who love crowds and don't like people. I'll say that again. I know people who love crowds but don't like people. Just clumps of people. They all, but everybody's got a story, man. Humility goes, how can I help you get better? I'm telling you, the greatest level of leadership you'll ever get to is when you can help other people win. It's the greatest level of leadership, and that's what humility does. Humility helps you get to the next level. It ain't about me. Here's the third thing he had. He had hunger. He had humility. Here's the third thing, and we don't talk about this in church enough, but we had honor. He had honor. We need more honor. Listen, I honor you guys. I honor our dream. Can we just honor our dream teams for a minute? Can we give it up for the dream team? You guys are incredible. Our band gets here. I get here about 7:15, 7:20. There's 3 or 4 of them already here. And they're here until we're done. So they're here till 12:15, 12:30. So you just showed up, got some coffee, and sat in here for an hour and left. They will have been here for 5 hours. I love our dream team, all of them. Not just the band, all of them. They pick up in the golf cart. They got coffee ready for you. They're serving your kids. Listen, I love they lead you in life group. I love our dream team, and I honor them. I honor my parents. I honor Dad in the first service. Mom, I honor you. Thank you for all you've done for me. You've been a blessing in my life. So what are we having for lunch? What's she saying? Yeah, Papa. Number 8, extra sauce, okay? Fries and a Sprite. Okay. But listen, this is not something we talk about in church enough. We need to honor some people, all right? I honor our elders, man. Our elders, y'all got incredible, man. I honor y'all. I honor our leadership, your entire families. I love you guys. Our prayer warrior. We have incredible teams here. We have incredible people here, and I honor all of y'all. Listen, he had honor. Daniel had honor. I love the rest of this when it kind of concludes the story about what's going on in chapter 6, verse 1. It says this: It pleased Darius to appoint 120 satraps to rule throughout the kingdom, with 3 administrators over them, one of whom was Daniel. So he was one of 3. So he was the cream of the crop. The satraps were made accountable to them so the king might not suffer loss. So they were kind of like the ones that made sure everything went well. Now, Daniel so distinguished himself. Now, here's where we get mixed up. We want other people to distinguish us. Like that's why we say it's not what you know, it's who you. Yeah. It's not what you know. In other words, why don't you tell them how good I am? I've done that. I've gotten a job that way before. Worked out pretty good. But I need to distinguish myself. Like, how do I live? How do I act? How do I treat people? How do I serve people? What kind of attitude do I have? Listen, he so distinguished himself among the administrators and the satraps by exceptional qualities. He had exceptional qualities. That doesn't happen overnight or by accident. That the king planned to set him over the whole kingdom. Now, this caused some problems because there were some people that wanted his position, but they didn't so distinguish themselves. They just fought him for him doing it. And Daniel was a leader, naturally. And there was about to get ugly because some guys are going, I don't like where you're at. Let me just tell you something we say here. I say it to our teams. I say it to our staff. If you ain't bleeding, you probably ain't leading. There's going to be some people that ain't going to be happy with it. And by the way, let me just say, if everybody's happy with you right now, you're probably not leading. Because leaders sometimes make tough decisions. And when you make tough decisions, not everybody likes it. That's okay. Honor God. Honor others the best you can. Honor your leaders. Listen, he had exceptional qualities. They planned to set him over the whole kingdom. Then look at this. At this, administrators at the satraps tried to find grounds of charges against Daniel in his conduct or government affairs, but they were unable to do so. So they're trying to set a trap. They can't do it. They could find no corruption in him because he was so trustworthy. They couldn't find a single ounce. Now, if somebody started digging in our life just even a little bit, they find some stuff pretty quick. I don't want them digging in my life. They dug around. They were trying to find something on Daniel. Good thing they didn't have Facebook back then. They probably would have got him for something. They couldn't find any corruption in him because he was so trustworthy. He was neither corrupt nor negligent. And watch what they said. This is what the guy said. Finally, these men said, we will never find any basis for charges against this man Daniel unless it has something to do with the law of his God. They said, you know what? He's got a routine. He's doing this thing, and I don't see him changing it. He was so honoring God with everything that he did. He was so focused on that. What they thought was they were going to trap him in. See, they thought it was about rules of his religion, but it was really about a relationship with his Redeemer. They thought it was about rules of his religion, but it was really about had a relationship with his Redeemer. That's the difference. See, if somebody wants to knock you off of praying every day, it'd probably be pretty easy if your reason why you pray isn't strong enough. And listen, he faced death and said, you know what? I'm not changing. So here's what he did. 2 places he honored that we need to honor. First of all, he honored God. We need to honor God with our life, with where we go, with what we say, with what we do. We need to honor God. Because here's what happened. So Daniel finds out about it. He learned that the decree had been published. He went home and upstairs to the room where the windows opened toward Jerusalem, and 3 times a day he got down on his knees and he prayed. This was his response to finding out they were about to come kill him. His response was he got on his knees and prayed, and I love the last half of this verse. It says this, giving thanks to his God just as he had done before. He didn't change what he did. They changed what they were doing. They shifted on him, right? They turned on him, and he did not change what he was doing. He kept giving honor to God. He kept praising God, because here's what happened with honor. Honor keeps you centered on the Savior. Listen, when you honor no matter what happens, so you honor God no matter what happens, they can't knock you off of it. When you say, God, I don't care what happens, I'm going to praise you. I don't care what happens with my job, I'm going to praise you. I don't care what happens with my family, I'm going to praise you. I don't care what people are saying about me, I'm going to praise you, and I'm going to pray to you just like I always have. I'm not changing my system because you're not changing either. He honored God. We need to honor God. Here's the second area he honored real quick. He honored authority. We need to honor authority. And honor doesn't always mean obeying. It means submitting, right? Honor authority. And I'll be honest with you, I've been a little frustrated with everything going on lately. I don't really like wearing masks, okay? So I just don't go very many places. Been doing a lot of online shopping. And you can drive through Popeyes with a mask on. Y'all need to pray and break that off of me. I got a spirit of Popeyes on me. Jeez, if you're waiting in line and almost die on 378 to get a little sandwich, something's wrong. But listen, he honored authority. He didn't buck the system. He didn't run to another country. He didn't go, you know what, y'all are after me. I'm gonna skip town. I got an ID. I'll go over here. I'll go to Hawaii. I'll go somewhere else, and I'll go chill out over there, and y'all can have this. No, he did what he had always done, which was honoring God by honoring authority. He honored God because he honored authority. So here's what happens. They catch him. They throw him in the lion's den. You know the whole story. They close the lion's den up. The king wasn't happy about it because they had kind of tricked him into it. So he was kind of like up all night worried about him. But listen, Daniel's in the lion's den. And if I'm in the lion's den, y'all, I'm coming up with some good liners. When they open this thing up, boy, I'm going to have one good liner coming at them. Sucker's probably going to be in there somewhere. You sap sucker. I'm still alive, sucker. Like, I would have something. There would be some, I would have just a good comeback, just that good one-liner, just that really just drives it home. Or I'd even ghost them. Just walk right by them. It's just, what do they do? That's what I'd have done right there. I'd be like, right by the king. Because the king came to check on Daniel, right? King's the one that opened up the lion's den. He was the one that came, and I'd just been like, I'd have been laid up on the lion sleeping. That's what I'd have been doing. Can you imagine? Open up the lion's den, and you're laying up in the mane next to him. Dude, I'd have done a whole bunch of different stuff, but that ain't honoring anybody. That's just what I would have done. But he honored authority. Do you know his first phrase, the first thing he said when they opened the lion's den? The first thing that he said to the king who had him thrown in there ultimately, it wasn't really his plan, but it happened that way, that he could have been bitter and angry about. His first phrase to him was this: long live the king. Now, if that ain't honor, I don't know what is. The first thing he said when he could have said anything he wanted to because he just survived nights with lions, he said, long live the king. Long live the king. He honored authority. Man, we got to have hunger. We got to have humility, and we got to have honor in our life. If you want to honor other people, here's how you do it. You want to honor God? We honor God by serving others, and we honor others by serving God. You honor God by serving other people. Who can you serve today? Who can you serve this week? Who can you help out that ain't going to be able to give you anything back? The Bible even tells us that you loan somebody something, they give it back to you. Even the Pharisees do that. Even the pagans do that. Give something to somebody that they can't give back to you. We honor God by serving others, and we honor others by serving God. And for some of you, you've been here for a while now. Maybe you've been here for 6 months or a year, and you just come to see what's going on. You keep coming back. It's time to get plugged in. It's time to get to serving. It's time to get onto a team and start serving other people and start honoring other people and have some humility and serve somebody. Listen, I love a church where you can go and just get some healing, and that's what we are here. I feel like the word was spoken over us when we first started that we were going to be an aircraft carrier. People are going to come in, get refueled, and take off. We've seen that. People come in here, they get refueled, they got burnt out with church, they came here, they got refueled, now they're in ministry somewhere in several different states. Happens all the time. I ain't mad about it. I honor them. I love that they're back in ministry. I love that you can come in and get a break and get some rest, but it's time to go to work. It's time to go to work. It's time to step up, start serving. We have Growth Track online. You can click on that app, the Next Steps app on our website, click Next Steps, and go to the Growth Track and take it online today. You can do it all today if you want to. It's time to start serving. So it's time to honor God by serving others. We honor God by serving others, and we honor others by serving God. It's time to get up, start moving. It's time. It's time. It's time. Are you qualified to serve in the King's Palace?